Where the shovel now? Take the shovel, do the side now. You know go break.
You know by the side.
You know the way you bury am. You know go break, sir. Now by the side. Do I make you wife? The Chris.
Around what time you bury this thing?
They dig am make you dey talk.
It's of recent now. Look at the fresh.
On the night of June 11, 2018, at around 10 p.m., two men walked into Hollywood Hotel in Okene, a well-known hangout spot for commercial sex workers in Adavi local government area of Kogi State. The men were Samuel Oluwasegun and Abdulmumini Yakubu, both natives of the same Adavi local government area of Kogi State. The two men appeared friendly and relaxed as they exchanged pleasantries with the hotel manager, a man known simply as Mohammed. Nothing about their behavior suggested that they were on a deadly mission. They looked like regular customers who had come to the establishment for the usual services offered there. After chatting with Mohammed, the two men made their way toward one of the commercial sex workers at the hotel. Her name was Messi Moses, a 19-year-old woman trying to survive through sex work. The men approached her and began talking with her. Whatever they discussed seemed to have convinced Messi to live with them. Witnesses at the hotel watched as Messi got on a motorcycle with the two men and rode away into the night. Nobody knew that this would be the last time anyone would ever see Messi Moses alive. One day passed, then 2 days. Messi Moses did not return to the hotel. This was unusual because sex workers at the establishment typically stayed on the premises and rarely disappeared for days without informing the manager. Mohammed, the hotel manager, became concerned. Worried about her safety, Mohammed decided to report the matter to the police. He went to a nearby police station in Adavi and filed a missing person report. The case was serious enough that it was quickly transferred to the State Criminal Investigation Department in Lokoja, the state capital. The police immediately began their investigation, and what they would eventually discover would horrify everyone involved. The homicide detectives at the state CID were experienced officers who knew how to handle serious cases. They began by tracing Messi's last known movements. The trail led them back to the two men who had taken her away from Hollywood Hotel. It did not take them long for the police to track down and arrest Samuel Oluwasegun and Abdulmumini Yakubu. When the officers brought them in for questioning, both men firmly denied knowing anything about Messi's whereabouts. They claimed they had no idea where she was or what had happened to her. But the detectives were not convinced. They had dealt with countless criminals who denied their crimes, and they knew the signs of guilty men trying to hide the truth. The officers decided to intensify their interrogation, applying pressure and digging deeper into the suspects' stories. Finally, Samuel and Yakubu broke down, and what came out of their mouths left everyone in shock. The two men confessed that they had been hired to bring a female to someone who needed her for ritual purposes. They revealed that a pastor had promised to pay them a huge sum of 700,000 naira if they could deliver a woman to him. That pastor was Oluwasegun Otaru, the head of the Voice of Canaan Temple, Cherubim and Seraphim Church in Uzuri, Adavi local government area of Kogi State. According to their confession, Pastor Otaru had given them specific instructions. He told them to go and open a bank account where he would pay in the money after they had completed the job. The pastor needed a woman, any woman, for a ritual that he claimed would bring him wealth and prosperity. Samuel and Yakubu had agreed to do the job because of the money. 700,000 naira was a fortune to them, money that could change their lives. So they had gone to Hollywood Hotel, knowing that the commercial sex workers there were vulnerable and that nobody would immediately raise alarm if one of them disappeared for a few days. But the confession did not stop there. What the two men revealed next was even more disturbing and showed just how evil their actions had been. After picking up Messi from the hotel, Samuel and Yakubu took her to a location where they could carry out their evil plan. But before ending her life, both men decided to forcefully sleep with her. The innocent young woman who thought she was simply going with customers for her usual services had no idea what horror awaited her. After they had violated her, one of the men strangled Messi to death. But the horror did not end with her murder. According to Yakubu's confession, after Messi was dead, he and another accomplice named Stephen, who was still at large, did something almost too disturbing to believe. They had sex with Messi's corpse. When asked why they would do such a terrible thing, Yakubu explained that they believed sleeping with the dead body would protect them from any form of spiritual attack or consequences for their crime. After desecrating Messi's body, the men then proceeded to dismember her corpse. They cut her body into pieces to make it easier to transport and dispose of the remains. They took out specific body parts that Pastor Otaru needed for his ritual. The men then took Messi's dismembered body to different locations and buried the parts separately. Some of the body parts were buried inside the church premises itself, hidden inside a local pot inside the Voice of Canaan temple. The rest of her remains were buried in a shallow grave in an area called Uhodo in the same Adavi local government area. With the confessions of Samuel and Yakubu, the police now knew who was behind the murder. Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru was the mastermind, the man who had orchestrated the entire killing. But there was one problem. The pastor had disappeared. As soon as his accomplices were arrested, Pastor Otaru realized that it was only a matter of time before they began talking to the police. He had fled from his neighborhood, hoping to escape justice, but the police were determined to catch him. Using their intelligence network and investigative skills, the officer tracked Pastor Otaru's movements. They followed leads, gathered information, and slowly closed in on his location. Eventually, on June 19, 2018, the police caught up with Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru and arrested him. The man of God who had preached salvation and blessings to his congregation was now in handcuffs, facing charges of murder and conspiracy. Following the confessions and arrest, the police asked the suspects to lead them to where they had buried Messi's body. Samuel and Yakubu took the investigators to Uhodo in Ugaminana area of Adavi. There, in a shallow grave, the officers dug up the torso of Messi Moses. It was a heartbreaking moment for everyone present. The young woman, who had been full of life just days earlier, was now reduced to scattered body parts, buried in the ground like garbage. The police recovered Messi's body in pieces: her head, her legs, her torso, and her hands. All the parts were gathered and taken to Okene General Hospital mortuary, where they were kept for autopsy. When Pastor Oluwasegun Otaru was finally brought in for questioning, he too eventually confessed to the crime. But his confession revealed even more disturbing details about his involvement in ritual murders and his desperate pursuit of wealth. The 45-year-old pastor admitted that poverty had driven him to commit the terrible crime. He explained that he had hoped to raise 2.5 million naira from the ritual money-making process. In his twisted mind, killing Messi Moses was a business investment that would bring him wealth and also solve all his financial problems. Pastor Otaru confessed that he had learned the art and trade of money-making rituals from his master in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Many years earlier, he had been practicing these dark rituals for a very long time, trying different methods to achieve the wealth he desperately wanted. The pastor also made a shocking revelation. The murder of Messi Moses was not his first attempt at ritual killing. According to his confession, this was actually the third time he was trying to perform such a ritual. The first two attempts had failed to bring him the money he wanted. Pastor Otaru explained that in his earlier attempts to get rich through rituals, he had used a different approach. Instead of murdering living people, he had gotten his raw materials from burial grounds. He would go to cemeteries at night and dig up dead bodies that had been recently buried. From these corpses, he would remove the specific body parts that his ritual required. He believed that using these parts in his ceremonies would bring him the wealth he desired. However, both times he tried this method, nothing happened. The rituals failed and no money came. After these failures, Pastor Otaru concluded that the reason his rituals were not working was because he was using body parts from people who were already dead. He decided that for the ritual to be successful, he needed fresh body parts from someone who was alive. This was when he made the evil decision to have someone killed specifically for his ritual purposes. This was when he contacted Samuel, Yakubu, and Stephen and then promised them 700,000 naira to bring him a woman. Pastor Otaru was the leader of the Voice of Canaan Temple, a cherubim and seraphim church in Uzuri. He had a congregation of about 20 people who trusted him and believed in his spiritual leadership. These innocent church members had no idea that their pastor was involved in such evil activities. The church had been operating for many years, and Pastor Otaru had built a reputation in the community as a man of God. People came to him for prayers, blessings, and spiritual guidance. They believed he was a messenger of God who could help them with their problems. But behind the holy robes and religious prayers, Pastor Otaru was practicing dark rituals and also planning murders. The very church where people came to worship God had become a burial ground for the body parts of a woman murdered in cold blood. Messi Moses' remains had been hidden inside a local port right there on the church premises. The police later confirmed that they had recovered Messi's body in pieces and that all three suspects had confessed to the crime. They also revealed that they were still searching for the fourth suspect, Stephen, who had managed to escape and was on the run. The three suspects were charged in court for their roles in the horrific murder of Messi Moses. However, there haven't been any reports on their convictions ever since then. What do you think should be done to people to stop believing that killing another person and removing their body parts would help them make money? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more true crime stories.